Hello. Hi. I feel it's like our alumni party. I didn't know most of you. Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the After School Special 2014 School of Visual Arts Alumni Film and Animation Festival. Yay! Let's do that. I'm Shangjing Mo. I'm the Director of Operations at MFA Computer Art. Thank you, Troby. So first of all, I would like to thank, I have to do the thanks first. I would like to thank SVA, especially Adam Natali, the director of SVA Theater, for including us, our department, to become a part of this amazing event. This is the very first one, so we hope to see more work every year. So there are current students out there, no pressure. Okay, so we're thrilled to have you here today for the special screening of short films, commercials, and other videos by our very own alumni from MFA Computer Art Department. Unfortunately, Bruce Wants, our chair, he is speaking at a conference at Oxford, UK this week, so he won't be here today. He's very sorry, but he sends his regards. So I would like to say a little bit of information about our department. So our department started back in the late 80s, so we actually have a pretty long history of our department, and right now we kind of trim it down to the concentration of 3. We do animation, 3D animation, motion graphics, and fine art. So what you're about to see today is a really good, solid presentation of what we do in our department. And how do I know all these people that you're about to see? Well, actually, it's interesting that I overlap with them, either as a former student, I also graduated from this department, or as a current staff member. So I'm really honored to know all of you, and I'm happy to present their work to you. So I hope you stick around after screening for the Q&A with 7 alumni who produced the work that you're about to see, moderated by our very own current student, Jen Hurler. Yay! Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one thing. Please go ahead and turn off your cell phone right now. You can turn it back on afterward. And don't forget to add the hashtag After School Special to all the social media on Twitter, Instagram, everything that you're posting. One last thing is we are actually doing open calls for our own alumni and current student fall exhibition. And the deadline is this Friday. So please go to our blog and check it out if you're an alumni or current student of MFA Computer Art Department. Come, show your work. Okay, so now you can sit back and relax and enjoy the SVA Shorts and animated series, and the program runs about 75 minutes, just in case you want to know. All right, thank you. Woo. Let's give a round of applause for everybody, all the artists. Yay. So now I would like to introduce you to the artists. First one is our Kun-I Chen. He graduated 2007. Come on over, come to the front. And Nathan Freise from 2009. Shiouwen Ho, 2009. Q, he's not here today, unfortunately, but he has amazing film you just saw. Next one is ChuChi KK Lin from 2010. John Mattiuzzi, 2012. Joshua Planz, 2013. And Taili Wu from 2009. And last but not least, Jen Hurler, our moderator. She will be graduating 2015.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and for staying with us. So I'll wait for you all to get seated. So I'd like first, if you guys would kind of just go down the row and kind of just introduce yourself and kind of say what you've been doing since you graduated, just so everyone kind of gets an idea, even though we kind of already saw it, but just for formality's sake.
Hello, my name is Kun-I Chang. I was in the year 2006, but I graduated in 2007. I took an extra semester here to finish my graduate film. The work you have seen is what we have done in the past 3 years. I'm the senior art director in Click3X New York. We specialize in branding, visual effects, design and animation for advertising and entertainment broadcast clients. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, my name is Taili. I'm working at a studio called Alex. I'm a designer over there. I mostly do on hands-on projects like stop motion and modeling and set design.
Yeah, and I think are there also some alumni from SVA here that you work with at Charlex, or were they able to make it tonight?
Yes.
Do you want to give them a shout out? I mean, they're MFA CA students too.
I'm not sure if they are here, but in the Horidos project, there are many 3D like animator and modeler who are also from our SVA alumni.
Cool. All right. John, do you want to introduce yourself?
Shiouwen. Hi, my name is John Mattiuzzi. I am unemployed. Not joking. Mostly by choice. I graduated in 2012. I occasionally freelance here and there, like once every 3 or 4 months, a couple days. Somehow manage and continue to make my work. I am actually planning on applying for a job at one point. But I also wanted to thank whoever out there to help make Zerogon a lot of MFA CA students. Just raise your hand. Thank you. It was a fun collaboration. That's it.
Hi, I'm Josh Planz. I graduated 2013, and I'm a freelance 3D artist and professor of 3D animation in the MFA program at Touro University. And I too like to thank the collaborators of Zerogon. Thanks, guys.
My name is ChuChi, but people call me KK. And I currently live in San Francisco, and I work in like a post-production studio called First Person, and they almost do like animation for a high-tech company. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shiouwen Hong, and well, thanks for John. I'm unemployed too for the moment, but mostly I freelance for animation studio, or I do design work for a lot of individual projects. But mostly the work that I just show, it's just self sponsor project, and trying to do more directing than kind of have freelance and have working on my own personal project. So thanks.
Hi, my name is Nathan Freise. I graduated 2009. I've been doing a lot of freelance, but as of recently, the past year, I just signed on as a director at Biscuit Filmworks with my brother, my twin brother, Adam Freise. So I just want to say everything you saw that I did up there was directed also with my brother. And also I do some work with Shiouwen. We have a kind of a small collective studio called Fortune Dream, and we're based out of LA.
Cool, thank you. Now, you two are married, right?
Yeah, we're married.
Okay, no, I just wanted to, because I remember Trilby, one of the teachers here, she shows the thesis film that you made with your brother every year as kind of an example for us.
That's really embarrassing, but really awesome.
Oh, it wasn't the reaction I was expecting. No, I mean, I can understand that. But yeah, so it seems like you collaborated with your brother on that, and now you guys also collaborate, the three of you, and as well as the two of you. So what has that been like? I mean, starting with your brother and then kind of expanding it, do you kind of change your approach, or is it kind of...
Yeah, it's different every time. I mean, I think with my brother, I mean, he's my twin brother, so we kind of have like the same brain. I mean, we literally think really similar, but also we're not afraid to tell each other what we think. And we have a lot of good dialogues that way, so we're able to just kind of work things out through lots of fights. Or with Shiouwen being my wife, you know, it's a totally different type of collaboration.
You guys
don't
kind of win
fight.
the vote every time. You can outvote him, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I worked with my brother on my thesis, and then me, Shiouwen, my brother, and then another collaborator, Rebecca. We all moved out to New Mexico about 3 years ago. And that was the first piece you saw, the 410 Dream Ident piece, was made out there as a collaboration between the four of us. And Shiouwen can talk about that as well. But I think creatively it was probably one of the most difficult things I've done, at least, because it was four very strong-minded, creative, but very different tastes kind of coming together. And it was a collaboration in the truest sense of the word. That, I mean, there's so many different angles that are always, coming together. But in the end, I mean, it's definitely a reflection of, I think, all four of our tastes and ideas. So.
Yeah, it seemed like I'm kind of grouping your separate pieces as well as your collaboration together, where I feel like the one that kind of thematically, they were all very different, obviously, the skull with the spider, the beautiful gold bugs and everything. They were all a bit still, like, color-wise, they were a bit, like, desaturated and things. They all kind of fit together. Even the Chevy commercial did. However, I noticed that one it didn't seem to have as much CG. So I was wondering if, Shiouwen, you could talk about the process behind that one, just because it did seem a bit of like the outlier. But it was still like the lighting, everything was quite beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, so it's obviously not, it's not like most animated piece, but I still consider it very, just the process for me, it's just like how I started it as an animator or designer, because it's a commercial, but I'm trying to make it as less literal as most other car commercial, and it's not commissioned by any ad agency, and it's just an open competition for all the filmmakers. So I'm trying to kind of pursue myself as more a director. So that's my first try to kind of work with the whole team, the cinematographer and actors and producer. So, but the whole process, the whole pre-production, including a storyboard and looking for the right fit for the film, and including the post-production, editing, coloring. I mean, there's no obvious animated elements, but just like I have to fake lighting it's like a little bit compositing work, but overall it's more like whatever fits the story, whatever that sells my idea. I wouldn't really have to do the computer work just to showcase my computer skills. So for me, it's the same idea as even for my animated thesis piece. I do a lot because I'm really not really good at computer compared to a lot of talented students in the class. So I know that's not my strongest things to do. So a lot of time I will try to avoid it, but whatever I need to learn, I will try to pick it up from the computer. So I kind of find that has that similarity. Even now, I doing more live action, but I think the same idea kind of helped me toward just later work.
Actually, that's interesting because it kind of made me think about Taili, kind of putting you on the spot right now. But I noticed looking through some of your work, not even that was shown today, but you do a lot of things kind of more tangibly, like you do ceramics and you do obviously stop motion and things like that. So I was wondering what kind of because I assume you kind of were drawing and whatnot before you came to this program and before you started getting really heavily into digital and kind of more the compositing, because some of the stop motion, like the kind of piece with the animals kind of partying in the hotel, or the apartments rather, that was definitely kind of some kind of hybrid of like tangible, real things, and obviously those really cute skeletons, which is kind of contradictory. But what was that kind of transition like for you? Like, do you enjoy one over the other, or I mean, it's mixed together really well. But if you just want to talk about that.
Okay, so I'm more of an old school person, so I like things that I can touch, like rather than computer that I can see it, but I can't really touch it. Yeah, so personally, I prefer things, like physical things.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting because I kind of got that vibe from your pieces. So how is working at a studio at Charlotte's? It seems like you're still able to really do what you want to do while working at a studio. So was it something that you kind of had to push, like, to kind of get, or was it something that they kind of welcomed when you started working there and being more of a collaborator rather than kind of just like an employee, or kind of what was that path like for you?
So at first I was there as a freelancer designer, And most of the project I work on would be like hand-drawn, like sketchbook style. And gradually, I started to do more of a stop motion, like building a set or, build some model and animate it frame by frame, taking pictures. So, and there's, of course, a lot of downtime. Like, everybody is working on 3D project, like beauty or all kind of commercials. So on the downtime, I get some freedom to do on some short film. Yeah.
That's great. And Kun-I, you're another person who I noticed even from watching your thesis, which it wasn't screened today, but some of the pieces that were shown that I saw in the credits, you were the art director for, and that's your occupation right now. But the style that you had even then is still very strongly represented in all of your current things. So kind of what was your path of I feel like everyone's dream is to kind of graduate and still kind of have creative say over their work, and it seems like you've been able to do that. So kind of, again, almost the same question, did you kind of have to, what was the path for you to kind of get to being an art director?
I started my career as animator. Be honest, I've been struggling to be limited with the role of an animator for a couple of years when I started. Because in the industry, it's not as easy as an artist that you can do whatever you want. There's always a different limitation. I think the real thing is sometimes you have to let go your artist ego at first, so when you not get to do the things you really like, you just don't complain too much. I mean, try to understand what people from other roles doing, or sometimes the producer, the client, or they have their own reason to do the stuff that sometimes you feel like you're uncomfortable with. And gradually, you start making your own stuff, and then you find your own style. And at first, when you do all this commercial broadcast industry stuff, you feel like you have to make certain things to satisfy the client's need. But gradually, you will actually start to infuse your personality in there. It's just a natural progression. It's not something that, I have to make something in order to get to that stage. It just keeps happening. And the most difficult thing is just don't give up too much. Just keep doing it. And some people happen faster, some people slower, but eventually it's gonna happen to you. So I think that's what I've learned for the past few years.
Cool, thank you. Speaking of kind of creative control, John Mattiuzzi. I feel like that was a pretty strong, not to say that it's not a strong theme in the compositor, but just you definitely strike me, and full disclosure, I kind of know you a little better than some of the other people here, but I know that for you, having that creative control is something that is very important to you. I expect that that's part of why the unemployment thing was something you kind of brought up, just because you do constantly do these projects and you're always able to bring on these teams. And I notice even like your cinematographer for Zero Gone and for the compositor was the same person, same story consultant. So how are you able to, and also you were the actor in them both too. So how are you kind of as the producer, and how are you able to assemble these teams and get people to kind of be on your side and see your vision?
I do need a producer someday. I don't know. I mean, as far as me and Josh goes, we're kind of like two peas in a pod. He's like my little brother, and we kind of, like your brother, like your little brother, see brain eye to eye. We kind of do the same. Very little fighting, mainly over what we're gonna eat for dinner that night. But how do I hold on to? What was that the question? Sorry.
It's kind of. It was kind of just how do you get people to love your ideas and work and do your ideas?
Oh,
I don't even know.
Make them laugh. I don't know. I just get really wrapped up in an idea, and I really want to do it, and I pick the people who I think can help me, and I really try to encourage them to help, give them incentive, and make them a part of the project because they are a part of the project. And Zero Gone was a different story. The compositor, I really locked myself away for a very long time to make. But Zero Gone was a much more collaborative process between the animators, between me and him. And it was really interesting because I wanted that to be a test to see how far I could break out of my own head and welcome other ideas. And it was a good process.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that because I know that you stayed in the MFA program a little extra longer, little.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, to finish your film.
By choice.
And I know that most films from our department, they tend to be maybe 5 minutes around that, and here we have literally like 8 times that amount for the compositor. And also, I know that Zero Gone was originally supposed to be like a 15-second thing, and that turned into a full short film as well. So you, especially also as a compositor, how do you when do you know when enough is enough? Because I feel like, again, the whole thing with control and a compositor, it's one of those things where you could be toggling things, and I know we kind of talked about this earlier, but it was just such an interesting thing for me and for you because, again, your projects tend to expand greatly.
Yeah, they do. I guess it's
you
it's
won
a
a
good
Student
thing.
Academy Award for the compositor, so it's working. And Zero Gone world premiere was fantastic. So I'm not even saying it in a bad way.
As far as limitations go, we all know that we can only push it so far. Our capabilities can only bring us to a point where we have to be like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get. And I guess if you can make that judgment call, you could know when to stop. As far as the editing goes and the sound, that's where I have a hard time settling because it's a lot more organic, the process. With 3D, you really have to be like, okay, we're not rendering this one more freaking time. I'm just going to let it go. But yeah, I guess it depends on the medium. This is the first time really working with a 3D artist this close. So it's a much more complicated process, that's for sure. I think that was the question. I'm going to pass it on to him.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is you do need a producer. Josh, I feel like you have been involved with so many films from our department for the past 3 or 4 years even. Just how do you even go about? I don't know. You have such and it's kind of suiting because you're a teacher now, but you kind of have this way of breaking down the process and really explaining. And I have experienced this firsthand with him I feel like I've learned just as much from Josh as I have from any of the professors in the program. So just what makes you, what has instilled that kind of sense of involvement and collaboration?
Well, it helped that at SVA, you're just surrounded by so much talent and so many great ideas that I can't help but want to jump in and help any way I can, and usually I can help them get to their idea in a more in an easier way, or just help them create whatever they're looking for. So it helped that I guess I easily just jump right in and.
It's just, I don't know, you're always helping
it's just
everybody.
my nature, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to have. And I know that you had gone to school before SVA and you studied computer animation, and obviously you wanted to expand on that even more at SVA. And now as a teacher and as a constant freelancer, just kind of where do you hope to kind of narrow down, do you want to eventually be a kind of supervisor, or do you want to be just kind of, what's the next step for Josh Planz?
Well, this was the first non-school, major project, non-freelance, just personal project with John. And I got to say, upon completion, actually seeing the full movie for the first time at 2 a.m. last night really kind of made that decision that I'd like to do that for the rest of my life. I'd love just to make films above anything else, just have an idea and see it through. I don't mind very much, though, as you said, helping others with their ideas. I actually really I don't know why, I get very excited easily with other ideas that I just love to, but seeing your own film come to completion it's a feeling like no other.
Well, it's nice to know a recent graduate has survived and can create personal works post-thesis. KK, you've been sitting there so quietly. So first, the very first thing that you showed, the like backing up your stuff, is there like a horror story? Is that a true story, first of all?
Yeah, it's a true story.
Was that at SVA or was that?
No, it's because sometimes you just like when you like have downtime at work, you just want to do something yourself, like your own stuff. So I actually made my personal project in the company, and I trust the company server too much. Yeah, so after Christmas, I came back, and then all my stuff was gone, and I was just like, God, crazy, and I just like started to complain to my coworkers, like, God, I didn't back up, and then so my coworker was like, why don't you just make a story that you didn't back up? I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I just started to make another story, and then I just feel like, as an artist, every time you make a like animation, you feel like it's your baby. So it's just start with that concept, and then tell people you always have to back up your stuff, because it's happened to a lot of SVA people that they didn't save their thesis work, and then the server crashed, and then everything just not there anymore. Yeah.
And also, so right now you do mostly like motion design. I know for the thesis film that you did while you were here had some elements. It had a lot of the story was live action, and then there was a lot of motion graphics in that too. Is live action is that kind of hybrid something that you did at school, and then afterwards you kind of were like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore, or is it just that you just happen to do a lot more of just straight up motion design?
Actually, I really like the live action, but it's just like you don't really like. It depends on like what's the studio you are in, and then you don't really have like in my studio. I don't really have a lot of control to do like live action stuff, and then they basically do a lot of stuff for a tech company because I base in San Francisco. So that's why like it's not a choice. I would love to do more like live action stuff, but I just don't really have time. And then I find out like doing vector art, it's so much faster. And actually, first year when I was in SVA, I learned 3D, and I was like dreaming like I want to go to Pixar one day. And then, but I was just like one day I just started to realize like I don't like 3D because I just sit there for half hour trying to finish one project, like one like modeling, and I just sit there and stare in front of computer for half hour, not even open Maya. So and then
Oh yeah, I feel you there.
yeah, and then one day I just like took a class, like a rigging class, and I was telling myself I quit. Like I want to do 2D. It's so much easier. You can just see things so quickly, and I have no patience. So I like to do stuff that turn around really fast.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Taili with the stop motion. I feel like to an extent that's kind of the same deal because I mean the actual animating obviously is a very time-consuming process, but at least you can kind of see what you're doing, and it's not just waiting for a render. And then when that render messes up, you're just like, what did I do? So what about you with like? Did you study 3D while you were here, and then did you always just come in wanting to do stop motion and 2D motion graphics? Like, oh yeah, sorry, we have to share.
So I also take a 3D class when I was in SVA. I love it. I have to say I love it. I love to create like all the creatures. Like we had some assignment to make a chair or make some object move. So I start making a chair and I make it walk. And make it walk on the train trail. So, but everybody is doing something really fun and make something really weird move. So I really love it. But in the studio, I gradually get in touch with stop motion when I was interning at Suspect. So our alumni, Kun-I Liu, he is first person really introduced me to stop motion, and I think I fall in love with stop motion since then, because I feel it's like magic. I just make these things move, like wow, yeah.
Oh yeah, completely. A little bit not in the same vein, but Nathan, one of the things that I kind of was curious about was you have really weird, and I mean that in a good way, architecture in like all of your pieces, including the thesis you did while you were here. What got you interested in that, and what has kept you interested in that kind of thematic kind of piece that is really in everything that you do?
Yeah, well, my grandpa was a bricklayer, my dad's a builder. I actually went to school for architecture in undergrad, so it was kind of my first interest. And then I worked in an architecture firm in Chicago for about 3 years, and pretty much just hated it. So my brother and I we were always doing the 3D animations and renderings of the buildings, and just got sick of doing buildings and things that don't move. So we started doing our own little kind of short films on the side and entering little film competitions around Chicago and New York. And then we both decided that, you know what, like, let's, screw architecture, let's go to school for filmmaking and animation. So,
I mean, all roads lead to great work, so I can't even complain about that. Not that I would, but don't laugh at me. Kun-I, kind of in that same vein, I kind of got the vibe watching some of your previous work and of course what was on screen. Did you I don't want to be like, did you ever graffiti walls as a kid? Did you ever do like comics, or what was like the tangible thing that kind of brought you to digital? Because again, like I said previously, you have a very interesting style. It's very very graphic novel-y. It's very much like kind of, I think of like motion comics and whatnot. Obviously you do the full animation, but what was the background that led you to that?
Oddly, it comes to many people's surprise, I cannot draw.
Really?
At all.
What?
I can't draw anything with the tangible pen. So I found that frustrating at first because I want to be an artist, but I couldn't draw at all. And I feel I'm always behind everybody because every people, even in school or now I'm working, my colleague, my friend, they all can draw whatever things they want, but I can't. My drawing is like worse than 3 years old. I've been frustrated by that for a while, but then after I get into computer animation, I kind of feel like I can actually draw something on computer, which is always not appropriate way in the workflow situation. You should sketch before you go onto the machine, but I realized I can only create my sketch in computer, so then I sort of find my salvation. So, I mean, one way or another, I got it there.
No, yeah, I completely understand that. It kind of just opens up doors for you that weren't there originally. I've been chatting a lot, so I would like to kind of open the floor if anybody has any questions for any of our artists. But before that, I just want to say thank you guys for tolerating me and for talking about your work and for being here. But yeah, if anybody else has any questions, now's your time. Oh my God, no one.
You're doing such a good job of drawing them out.
Thanks, Carl. Nobody. Oh, do you want to? Yeah, there's a mic if you want to.
I'll just speak up.
Okay, I'll repeat it.
How long have you been a compositor?
How long has John Mattiuzzi been a compositor?
Went to school 2009 was when I first learned about an alpha channel. So yeah, 2009 fall. I was a Photoshop junkie here and there, but not anything. I didn't learn any real skill until sort of my last year of MFA CA, and then actually working for a year after. But 5 years, but intensively 2.5, I guess.
Do we have any others? Don't be shy. No? Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the artist that did the Jarritos to soda.
Oh, that was Taili. Yes.
What inspired you to pick that? Was that for a client, or was that something that you liked the soda and you decided to do something to present that?
So the question was for Taili, what inspired the Jarritos soda with the one with the skeletons?
About the microphone. So that was a commercial project come from Jarritos. They are from Mexico, yeah, and they come to us asking us if we can come up with animation based on their design. The skeleton design is original from them. Yeah.
That's interesting. Anything else? All right, so then maybe what I will do is, well, I kind of just really quick, if you guys want to just quickly, if you could say one piece of advice to any current students that are here. Just really quick, like, just get one out there, and we'll wrap this up. Let's start with you. Throwing you on the
I
spot.
guess, I don't know, this is kind of quick, but I think the most important thing is just keep making your own stuff, no matter how frustrating or how much it doesn't pay you anything. Just keep doing it and just keep putting it out there. Like, just put it online, show it to everybody, and eventually somebody will see it and like it, and then it'll go somewhere. But just keep making stuff.
I was actually thinking about this question before I got here. I was thinking, looking back at the time when I was at school, I really think you need to start thinking about your story even in your first year at school, because at the time I was completely focusing on how to enhance my computer skills, but I feel overall, whatever, in the end, what makes your work stand out is your story. So, and it takes a long time for you to settle on one. So I would say that's my advice.
So the same, I think story is most important thing than any other stuff like skill or the art is just secondary. And then just keep building stuff because after school, I think it's really hard to make your own project. So just keep doing stuff and then enjoy the school time.
I would say that you got tons of resources all over the place, online, books, whatever. And you have really great teachers at SVA, but the best resource is each other, is other students. And even after graduating, there's still the best resources for me. Like working with anyone else, collaborating, I learn more from them than anywhere else. This project with John, I learned exponentially more than I have in a long time. It's just been a really good experience, but you're going to only truly get that experience is by working and talking and collaborating and just hanging with tons of like-minded people.
You said everything. I'll say, as far as like the compositor I made without any knowledge of workflow and pipeline, just like having a beginning and an end, clear in sight of how to do it systematically. And if I was to go back on my hard drive and try to figure out the compositor, I wouldn't know what the hell I did. Zero Gone was a completely different process, which I learned working in the industry. Was know where you're going from A to Z and how to sort of zigzag in between, and that will save you months and months and months of horror.
So no matter how hard is it, or what material or what software you're using, just have fun. Yeah.
So the first thing, is networking. It's very important for guys. Don't just lock in your room. Just go out there, talking with friends, making new friendship. That always help. And then, like Taili just said, have fun with your life. I mean, the world is tough, but so what? Just have fun with whatever you did, and eventually you get there.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for joining us and for giving us some sage advice. If you guys want to give them a round of applause. Yeah, thank you again for coming. We really appreciate it. Oh, Trilby. Thank you. This is my first time. I'm available in the future. But yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Part of this amazing event. This is the very first one, so we hope to see more work every year. So there are current students out there, no pressure. Okay, so we're thrilled to have you here today for the special screening of short films, commercials, and other videos by our very own alumni from MFA Computer Art Department. Unfortunately, Bruce Wants our chair, he is speaking at a conference at Oxford, UK this week, so he won't be here today. He's very sorry, but he sends his regards. So I would like to say a little bit of information about our department. So our department started back in the late 80s, so we actually have a pretty long history of our department. Hello. Hi. I feel it's like our alumni party. I already know most of you. Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the After School Special 2014 School of Visual Arts Alumni Film and Animation Festival. Yay! Let's do that. I'm Chang Mo. I'm the Director of Operations at MFA Computer Art. Thank you, Troby. So first of all, I would like to thank, I have to do the thanks first. I would like to thank SVA, especially Adam Natali, the director of SVA Theater, for including us, our department, to be, yay. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one thing. Please go ahead and turn off your cell phone right now. You can turn it back on afterward. And don't forget to add the hashtag After School Special to all the social media on Twitter, Instagram, everything that you're posting. One last thing is we are actually doing open calls for our own alumni and current student fall exhibition. And the deadline is this Friday. So please go to our blog and check it out if you're an alumni or current student of MFA Computer Department. Come, show your work. Okay, so now you can sit back and relax and enjoy the SVA Shorts, an animated series, and the program runs about 7. And right now we kind of trim it down to the concentration of 3. We do animation, 3D animation, motion graphics, and fine art. So what you're about to see today is a really good, solid presentation of what we do in our department. And how do I know all these people that you're about to see? Well, actually, it's interesting that I overlap with them, either as a former student, I also graduated from this department, or as a current staff member. So I'm really honored to know all of you, and I'm happy to present their work to you. So I hope you stick around after screening for the Q&A with 7 alumni who produced the work that you're about to see, moderated by our very own current student, Jen Hurler. 25 minutes, just in case you want to know. All right, thank you. Woo! Let's give a round of applause for everybody, all the artists. Yay. So now I would like to introduce you to the artists. First one is our Kun-I Chen. He graduated 2007. Come on over, come to the front. And Nathan Freise from 2009. Shiouwen Ho, 2009. Q, he's not here today, unfortunately, but he has amazing film you just saw. Next one is ChuChi KK Lin from 2010. John Mattiuzzi, 2012.